Welcome back to today's show, and we're still not sure what we're naming this, but we're going to stick with the Truth and Domestic Relations Courts or Family Courts for now. Today, we have some very important people with us on the show. Joni's with us as well. She's not on video, she's on audio. She's doing something for her business, so she's going to be chiming in off and on. We have, first off, Sylvia Beachy out of Georgia from Rescue the Fosters. Sylvia, you want to just say hi real quick and kind of introduce yourself
Yeah.
properly?
Yeah. Thank you for having me on. So I am the co-founder of Rescue the Fosters. Rescue the Fosters was founded to help families like Kim, and her husband, fighting CPS. It was to give a support system. There was no support system. Families didn't know how to navigate it. They didn't know where to go. So that's what Rescue the Fosters is for. And then we also are here to advocate for foster youth in the system because they also have no place to go. They go to their caseworkers, they go to their guardian ad litems, and that goes nowhere. They just cover it up. So we are here to advocate for foster youth and families. So thank you for having me on.
Okay. And then we have David Steele and Kim Esco. Don't let the names fool you, folks. This is a married couple. They are out of Sumter, South Carolina, and they are currently dealing with a severe case of social service misjustice pertaining to their twins, Maya and Emily. So let's kind of, and I want to congratulate Sylvia on becoming a journalist, a registered journalist.
Nice.
So she can add that
Thanks.
to her
Yeah.
repertoire.
Yes, thank you. I'm
Okay.
working on my first article.
There we go.
So let's start with David and Kim. Just in a nutshell, now we've known each other for a little while now, and if you guys don't have a problem, I'm just going to kind of go over real quick of what's gone and taken place.
Go right ahead.
Okay, so David and Kim reached out to me because they're dealing with uh, DSS in South Carolina, trying to terminate their parental rights. So David emailed me a video of when law enforcement came out with social services to basically strong arm them into giving the kids. Um, from there, they had a first termination of parental rights hearing. The judge denied everything. And he set it for 9 months out to have another hearing on permanent placement, which is the law. Now they've had a second TPR hearing just last week, and it was under the same issues that were brought up in the first one, which were denied. But this time, unfortunately, David and Kim received an email from their attorneys that the judge is approving the TPR, the termination of their parental rights, under the guise of the fact that the children have been in the system for so long. So it's nothing Kim and David have done. They've done everything they've been asked to do. They're just doing it because the kids have been in the system. There's been no mention of reunification in their case. So am I leaving anything out, guys?
No, that's about it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah,
I mean a lot more in between, but in a nutshell, that's about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start this off. Let's start with Sylvia. Sylvia, you deal with foster care and stuff like this in your shows and stuff. And we talked about the increase in numbers we see of these children being separated from parents because of low income.
Yes, yes, they definitely target people that are poor, that don't have the means to fight. And the attorneys are in on it as well. Especially if they're given a court-appointed attorney. They basically go along. I have parents who say they were never given a chance to speak in court. The attorney did not fight for them. They did not object to anything that was presented. They did not, you know, you have to set the record straight and say to the court, okay, no, that's not true. And these court appointed attorneys are not doing that. They're just sitting there. I was in court not too long ago in Dawsonville County, and the attorney fell asleep beside his client.
Wow.
Wow.
Fell
That would not
asleep.
happen.
let's pause here for a second. I mean, what the, and pardon my French, he double hockey sticks is going on in these court systems? I mean, this sounds like a complete miscarriage of justice in every aspect. So how are they still getting away with this? I mean, is this not being publicly reported through regular media or what?
It's
No,
definitely not
it's all
being,
being swept
yeah,
under. It's
no,
all
it's,
being swept under the rug.
yeah, and it's not being reported by the media. When I was a caseworker and I started figuring out what was going on, I reached out to several journalists. They said that they did not speak against CPS because CPS came after them. Okay, at this time I was trying to figure out what was going on. So I didn't understand the system. I didn't understand how we were on contracts. But now that I understand it, what part of CPS is coming after these reporters? That's what I want to know because
Are
that
they
was
threatening these guys to take their children and all this stuff, or what?
it's lawsuits. It's actual lawsuits that they're getting. And so literally the reason I started my podcast was because I could not get a reporter to even speak to me. And they would always say, "Oh, we don't go after CPS. Oh, we don't go after CPS." And I'm like, "But they're taking children."
Right. Yeah.
So
We
it's
actually,
funny you say that because Joni and I deal with parental alienation and everything, and we get there just recently several professionals in the industry, Lynn Steinberg and some, they've gotten sued for their reunification programs by parents who were the alienators in ways of trying to stop them and get them quiet and lose their licenses and stuff. Luckily, their cases went forward and they were vindicated. But we find out that after these hearings, there are gag orders put on so no one can talk about it.
Yep,
Wow.
that's another thing that they do, and I don't even think that's legal. Is that legal? Because I've had a few parents who were like, "We're going to speak out anyways," and it
Right.
was more of a fear tactic to keep them quiet. Sometimes they do arrest them, sometimes
Well,
they don't.
the legality of a gag order varies from state to state, jurisdiction to jurisdiction. Uh, but overall, judges have this ability to place these orders, these gag orders, preventing anyone from talking about the case or the outcome. There are several thousands of people that say these judges have too much authority, too much power. Uh,
Well, and police officers are following their orders. Again, in Dawsonville County Juvenile Court, uh, the attorney, Heather Daly, and I were kicked out of court. And I asked the police officer, "What law are you following?" And he said, "Take it up with the judge." And he couldn't name the law that he was following. And so Heather
Right.
names the law that says, no, the court is allowed opened. And he goes, "Take it up with the judge." I said, "Well, you wouldn't let her. You kicked her out of you kicked us out. You wouldn't let us." And he
Right.
goes, "I didn't do that. The judge did that." I was like, "No, you did that."
Wow. I know South Carolina, our family courts are closed. There's nobody unless you are involved with the case or unless you're DSS because DSS, our side is just me and David. And you look across the aisle and all the rows are taken and they supposedly all work for DSS or, to some extent or another.
or one of their affiliates
Yeah.
or their
So like,
drivers or something. I mean, I don't know what all these people do, but
but as far as like I had a friend that was going to come and sit and and they wouldn't let her in. I mean, because she wasn't involved with the case. So it's not even nobody's witnessing what's going on in the South Carolina courtrooms. So and then to follow up, I've emailed several investigative reporters like WIS, Fox, and not even a response back.
yeah,
So,
I actually, when right after that video had happened, we actually drove down to Florida. When they took our kids, they sent them to Florida with my mother-in-law. Didn't tell us they were doing it. I got arrested that day. Kim was staying at a friend's house, and no one came to the jail to tell me, "Hey, yo, your mother-in-law is coming to get your kids." I spent 72 hours in jail, not knowing where my kids were, where my wife was. And I get out of jail, and the first thing I'm told is my kids are in Florida with their grandmother, who they've never met.
They were babies.
Well, they were, yes, they were, the girls were babies, and I think Dylan was 5 or 6.
No, he's older than that.
Other than that, they've had no significant time with this lady, and she is,
Anyway.
excuse me, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Now, David, the other thing about that arrest is they just held you for 3 days. You were never charged with anything.
Never charged. Well,
they
held him for 60.
It was like 69 hours in total. But the initial, what I ended up having to go to court for was threatening a public official. And it took 3 months. I think it was about 3 months before I actually got to go to court. And I guess fight it. But we're sitting in the courtroom lobby, and the officer that had filed the report walked up to me and said, "Mr. Steele, you're free to go.
Yeah.
I don't believe in kicking a man while he's down."
The public official was the Sumter County cop that accosted him, and apparently he had a change of heart, right? And decided he didn't want
to kick a man while he's down,
right?
And
but
that got
proceeded to do that in the video to begin with.
Now, Sylvia, let me ask you this, because you deal more with this than we do. Is it allowed that these children are handed out of state?
Well, they're not really supposed to do that. You have to do do you know what an ICPC is?
Yes, ma'am. I've researched it thoroughly when they did it. And I know it takes a minimum of 60 days before they can do a transfer, because they have to get with the border state. And from what I remember, Florida is not technically a border state with us, because we share a border with North Carolina and
Right.
so they have to go through those channels first. It's a minimum of 60 days, but they did it with our children in less than 24 hours. Yeah.
So that can't be. So I would definitely look into that. But do you know if Georgia was involved at all?
As far as we know, Georgia wasn't involved at all. We got a text message from her mom, which we still have this text message, that told us we need to come pick up our demon children. Yes. My girls can be a handful. I know this.
They're twins. They were like 6 at the time. And, so I mean,
at the time, I hadn't gotten my paycheck yet, and we called a friend of ours and said, "Look, I need to borrow $100." She gave us a $100 bill. We went to the gas station, filled up our Suburban, drove down to Jacksonville, Florida, picked our kids up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, turned around, and drove back to South Carolina.
And what's funny is my mother actually called Jacksonville PD and told them we were coming, and they asked her, "Do you have custody paperwork?" And she said, "No, I don't, because South Carolina." And I have this in the DSS caps logs. It's them talking with my mom, and my mom complaining because they sent the kids with no clothes, no paperwork, no social security card, no birth certificate. She couldn't get them enrolled in school. But so when the cops showed up, they told my mom, like, there's nothing we can do. I mean, if unless you have paperwork, then they can take these kids, and that's what we did.
It's funny as we talk about this, how social service cases and private cases, I see a generalization when it comes to parental alienation, because you guys are given visits with your children, 2 hours a month or 2 hours a week?
No, 2 hours, 2 hours a month.
2 hours a month.
We get 1 hour visits every 2 weeks.
Yep. And it's no outside contact with the foster parents, even though in the DSS handbook, visits are supposed to be face to face, and they encourage co-parenting,
outside contact with the kids, whether it's Facebook Messenger, Skyping,
writing letters,
meeting up in public places, where the foster parents can still be there,
right?
Like at a park or a McDonald's or something like that. She actually got the handheld version of South Carolina's DSS's
handbook.
Little handbook. Yeah. Like literally, like *6-7, boom, it pulls it up right there on your phone.
Yeah.
But
none of that happened. Yeah. So
none of it happened.
We get to see them for 2 hours a month.
Every single visit, they say we appear high.
Yeah,
or we're under the influence because we brought McDonald's for everybody and we ate McDonald's.
Or we're coercing our children into misbehaving so that their placement will be changed. Why would I want their placement to be changed? I mean, when they're safe where they are, that's traumatizing to them. But I mean, like I got into an argument.
It's
Go ahead,
funny because what you're telling us is the same thing we hear in private cases coming from the cases, and that's parental alienation tactics.
Yeah.
So it's ironic that we're seeing these same tactics used by a state agency that is supposed to be there to protect these children and keep families together.
Well, the funny part about that is when we would bring those points up to our caseworker or the case manager, we would always get the same blanket answer. Well, it's up to the foster parents.
Yeah.
It's up to the foster parents. If they want to allow this, that's right, which I understand that to a degree, but as technically our caseworker, our family, shouldn't you be
a liaison between
shouldn't you be
us,
trying to work towards that so we keep the connection with our kids?
Right. They're breaking that bond is what they're trying to do, is break that bond, like you said, parental alienation. And then how do we even know if the caseworker is being honest?
Yeah, and Sylvia, you may be able to answer this question. I mean, David, you just said they're leaving it up to the foster parents. The foster parents have no real say-so in these things, is my understanding.
They get a lot of leeway here. I mean, maybe not all us out there, but Sumter, they get a lot of leeway if the caseworker likes them.
Our son Dylan, he aged out of the system, and now he had a foster mom who was absolutely amazing.
An angel.
I mean, she's what, 80s? I think she's like 83, 84 years old now. I mean, she's up there. But she would allow us to come out on our off weeks, when we didn't get to see the kids, and allow us to come out, see Dylan. We spend Thanksgiving out there with the family. We spend birthdays out there, Thanksgiving, Christmas, any of our family. Any of the holidays. We have a standing open invitation. We can just show up there anytime we want. She is a great, great woman. And I mean, I laid down her rules for when we got to, get out there. And, as long as we abided by what she said, if she said no visits today, hey, that was it. Case closed. If we wanted to take them up to the Dollar Tree to get some snacks and she said no, okay, that's it. Case closed.
The problem that we're having with the foster parents is they're getting a narrative from somewhere that we're dangerous or we're drug addicts or there's a no contact order between us and the children, and that's absolutely not true. I mean, so they're getting this narrative from somewhere, and it can only be the caseworker.
I can tell you where the narrative comes from. It's
Kim.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead, Sylvia.
Well, I was just going to say that when I was a worker, they would give us this chart and it had a narrative already in it. And I've never read a good narrative about the family. And I was told horrible things about families that now I'm thinking are not true. So the caseworker basically will tell the foster parent, okay, this is their story. And they kind of scare them to where they're like, these people are, the foster parents get afraid. They're like, well, these people sound crazy and violent, and I don't want them in my house or know where I live, or, and it wasn't until I started researching that.
Yeah, me and my wife have been
one thing that it's really amazing in this aspect. Hold on, David. It's really amazing in this aspect because what you're telling us is the same thing we see in private cases, private divorce cases, custody cases, as just plain out perjury in courts. And here we have state agencies doing this and getting away with it.
And I told you, Clint, when I first reached out to you, I asked you, if you've heard of the parental alienation through a government agency, because I've searched and I've not really found any literature on it. It's not very, talked about. I mean, for obvious reasons, I suppose, but it's I've never heard of it. And I was like, started looking it up, and I said, this is what this is, parental alienation. And I told we told the caseworker, I told the guardian ad litem, the guardian ad litem in her sworn statement, basically told me I was being ridiculous, that's not what was going on. But I mean,
when I first started this back in 2017 and started doing research, a couple of years later, a video came across YouTube, and TikTok has it now, where an appellate court is questioning this social service attorney, and they ask her straight out, "Are you allowing your social services to lie to these people in order to get the?" And she says, "Yes, we instruct them to get them to do whatever they need to do to get the other party to admit to whatever's going on."
So it's kind of like the police.
Yeah.
You know how the police lie to you, and they're allowed to lie in order to get information.
Right.
Exactly. But you're not, it's illegal. It's been deemed illegal for years. But now we see these sort of tactics in social services.
Yeah.
I mean, come on here, folks. I mean, when is every order, and we talked about this right before the show, is that every order that terminates parental rights states best interest of child. That's their protection barrier for everything they do in these court systems, whether social services, private. Sylvia, you've been at this for a very long time, and you actually worked for do you believe that motto is held to its core in these domestic relations courts today?
Well, it's held to receive money, but when you say to its core, what we're finding is that it is not in the best interest of the child what they're doing. But there is a Title 4E handbook. I don't know if y'all have seen it, but it states in that handbook, you have to state in the court order, it's in the best interest of the child to receive the funding. So that term has been in order to receive the funding. So it's not really about the best interest of the child, the best interest as in what's best for the child. It's the best interest as in money.
Right. It's all incentivized. All of it's being incentivized by the Title IV. Everything. Our caseworkers. She came from Darlington. She's supposedly worked for DSS for 14 years. And in my attorney at court questioned her about something she wrote in the caps log, and she mentions Title IV funding. And when he questioned her about it, she's like, "I don't know what that is." You worked for DSS for 14 years, and you put it in you're the one who typed this particular memo up and wrote this memo with this lingo, and you don't know what it is.
Well, here's something I want to bring up, because me and David and Kim have talked about their case quite a bit. Kim, you actually found out in a search that someone involved on social services employment side has a assault and battery charge.
Yes,
was convicted.
Yep. Yeah. 100.
It was like 130, 160. I mean, it was in the $100,000+
fines and restitution. So I don't know what they did, but but that was probably about a year ago now. Mysteriously, when you go to type that into the judicial webpage, the Sumter County, you type the case number in, and it's no longer there. So I'm really glad I screenshotted that.
Yes.
I mean, I've learned. I save everything, screenshot everything.
I mean, Sylvia, because you used to work. I mean, the people you worked with when you were there. I mean, were these the type of people that?
Oh, they're ghetto as heck. They're ghetto. They literally have no professional. They're not like I was the only non-ghetto person there, and I didn't even understand half the conversations they were talking because it's so ghetto. These people are from the streets.
Our caseworker tried to physically attack me and my husband. That's what made me look into her to see if she had a criminal background, because that's like she literally tried to.
Not professional at all.
No,
we are on our second gal, because the first one after this incident my wife just mentioned, the gal was literally had both of her arms wrapped around our caseworker and was pulling her backwards down the hallway.
The case manager was there.
Recorded?
No,
we did, but My mom, unfortunately, is not tech savvy. We had it in audio, and she tried to send me the file, and she deleted it.
So, but I mean, we did have a family children, the CFT, the family team meeting, and the case manager, it was brought up of any concerns, and I said, I'm concerned that my caseworker tried to attack me, and she said that didn't happen, and I said, well, that's funny because I've got it on video, and she's like, oh, well, we've handled that situation. I said, well, did it not happen, or have you handled it? And dead silence.
So that's exactly what they do. Say they literally, so that when you say, oh, this happened, they're like, she's lying. That didn't happen. I literally had to start recording our conversations because they would do that to me. And
you do that.
I was like, I'm going to start recording you. I'm going to start. And I did start recording them because that's exactly their tactic. It's ghetto tactics. These people are so unprofessional, so unethical, no morals.
No.
I mean,
and they have
it's just
kids. Like a lot of them have kids too. I'm like, what if this
adopted kids too? Every one of them had adopted kids.
One of the things that got me when I actually went down and spoke with Kim and David face to face, I met their son Dylan, who aged out of the system, is back with them, and he and I had a one-on-one conversation. I said, well, Dylan, when they took you, what did they tell you? And they were actually telling him a bunch of stuff that happened way back when about drug deals, the abuse in the house, and all this stuff. And that he was 16 at the time, correct, David?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
So the caseworker who was there to pick the children up was telling a 16-year-old minor this narrative.
Yep. What got the police to first come out here is it was an anonymous tip that it was nothing against my wife, Kim. It was that I was trafficking methamphetamines, cocaine, and marijuana, selling and using said drugs with and around my kids. I have passed every drug test they gave me. Now, I do have very short hair. And at the time they first came out, I had a goatee that I could pull down. It would fit in my fist, and the bottom of it would hang out the bottom side of my fist. They were sending us to LabCorp in the Walgreens here in Sumter. Which
LabCorp's already got a bad rep with falsifying.
And they said they couldn't take a hair sample from me. And so I asked them, I'm like, well, why not? Your hair is too short. I said, okay. Well, can you take it from anywhere else? I mean, again, long goatee, right? Hanging out. No, our policy states that we can only take hair from your head. Nowhere else can LabCorp legally pull hair.
They're not a medical facility.
There is not a medical facility.
He volunteered to go to a different provider that would pull from a different area, told the caseworker that, and they've never
right here at the end, they started sending us to another provider. But the last three or four drug tests that they've issued to us were just urine tests. And I even offered, because they have a box on their form for monitored sampling. I offered to let one of the techs watch me pee in a cup, sign off on the fact that she witnessed me pee in a cup. That wasn't good enough. Neither one of us have any drug charges.
No drug charges, period.
They tried saying I had criminal domestic violence.
Extensive criminal background.
I had an extensive criminal background. I had several CDV charges. Not alleges, not any of that. I was literally on the stand and was threatened by the attorney, by the gal attorney to the judge about perjury. That if it come out that I was lying, I would be held in contempt and for perjury. Because he kept grilling me about this CDV charge that I had, the CDV, and to the point that I finally had enough of it. And I said, look, what CDV are you talking about? I have nothing on my record. Show me a CDV charge. Show me where I was arrested for CDV.
Yeah.
Show me where there was a complaint for CDV. Nothing is ever. They could never pull nothing up.
No.
So
They
well,
just make it
let's kind of round this up, because what the tactics you're telling us that you guys are experiencing, that Sylvia says is going on, is the same tactics we see in private cases, which is what we deal with majority wise at PSI. And in PSI, in these private cases, these are parents being accused of this, but and held sometimes accountable or not. But you guys are telling us that a state agency is doing the same dirty tricks
Yeah.
and getting away with it.
And it's not just DSS. The guardian ad litem's office goes along with it too. I mean, the last gal
Well, the
report
guardians and private and
Not only
state
are
cases
we
are do the same
saying
thing.
that
yeah.
not only are we saying that the state is doing this, we actually have hard physical proof that they're doing it, and it's all on their own wording. It's from them. They gave us all their lies in the caps log, their dictations. They contradict themselves. First, they say we didn't complete services, and then right there in the caps log, well, Mrs. Steele asked for this, talked about this, went for this, completed this, didn't do this, but in the dictations and in their file, oh, we're refusing to do drug tests, we're refusing to do counseling, we're not following through with the treatment plan, but then in another form that they gave us, I've completed all my sessions. I've done everything needed, required of me. We fixed the house up. I mean, my mom and stepdad, no, it's not the Hilton. It's not nothing fancy, but put a $20,000 roof on this trailer, and we're still paying for it.
I mean, we figure, even with the house not being up to 100%, I mean, it's still better than sleeping in a tent with your children right in the middle of winter. Maybe, possibly.
Sylvia, let me get this question to Sylvia, because you deal with this a lot more. Is this the reality of what happens in these cases?
Yeah, unfortunately it is. I mean, it's really gotten out of control. It's really heartbreaking. It's insane, because I've seen what happens actually in the foster system, what the places that the kids are placed in, the group homes that the kids go to. That's really what scares me, is that children are placed in unsafe environments in the foster system and that they don't care. The children are constantly having to fight for their lives, because these group homes, it's nothing but fights. And I mean, it's just it's an unsafe environment all the way around. So and this is honestly why I speak out as much as I do, because they've gotten so bold, they've gotten so blatant with their with their lies
I mean,
and cheating and
they have no problem looking you in your face, telling you one thing, and literally getting on stand, looking at the judge and calling you a bold-faced liar, making stories up. On this TPR hearing, it was 2 days, and day one, I thought we had them. I mean, things were going good. At least I thought the judge was getting on to DSS on several different points, on them always wanting to continue it and stretch things out and prolong this. And well, can we come back tomorrow? And then the second day, I got up on stand. Things went pretty good. I felt they tried to get under my skin, and I kept my cool. And then the gal got up on stand. And when I tell you, it took everything I had not to make a face, not to be gesturing, not to show any type of emotion. I may have been stern with my kids, because to be honest, I didn't want my kids to end up like I did, running the streets, doing God knows what.
But and the gal is complicit with with
I think we lost Clint.
Oh,
there we go. Oh, I don't know if there he is.
Hello, Clint.
I think we lost you there for a minute.
Are you there?
Yeah, it kicked me out for some reason. Zoom's been acting funny lately.
Oh, yeah.
But I just pulled up, it may have been why I got kicked out. I just pulled up some numbers pertaining to missing children in these foster cares. According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, an audit covering 46 states found approximately 34,000 cases of missing foster children.
Yeah. That's ridiculous. That's God, that's a ridiculous number.
Unfortunately for them that I care so much for my kids have never been in a foster home that I didn't know exactly where they were. And one of my daughters is on her 4th foster home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I'm going to give y'all another stat. Yeah, I was going to say, go ahead, Clint, because I have another stat for you too.
Go ahead.
Well, it's
probably going to be a stat I'm going to get ready to give.
Is it 90% of sex trafficking victims come from
that? Yep.
I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it states that a notable example, Georgia reported nearly 1,800 foster children missing from state care between 2018 and 2022, and more than 20% of those cases were linked to trafficking.
Yep. Of course, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's one state.
Yeah. And they double the money. They double the money. They get the money for the kids from the federal government. Then they turn around and sell them. You know, someone said they get more money that way. So it's like, you know.
Well, another. I don't know if you have the statistic, Sylvia, or not, but it says unreported missing children range in the 34,000 cases across the United States. Unreported missing children, which means they have no clue these children are actually missing.
Yeah, well, let me tell you how that works. So it's the runaways. So the runaway policy and procedures is insane. If a child wants to run away, as a staff, we were told we could not stop them. As a worker, we could not stop them. We would have to let them go. Then there's literally no 911 call. You call the local police department. They come out and they do a BOLO. They do a canvas of the area, and that's it. There's no missing report. They're placed as a runaway. No Amber Alert. No search party. Okay, so if you have a trafficker, literally all they have to do is sit near a group home. That's it. Another way that they get rid of them, it's all through runaways, because children would tell me that their foster parent would say, "Oh, I guess you're a runaway." And they would put them out and they would report them as a runaway because nobody looks for them, nobody reports them, and nobody does anything.
I was going to say, the corruption is absolutely outrageous. I live in a state called Connecticut, or what has been nicknamed Corrupticate. And we are the Constitution state. And our constitutional rights are really not, what's the word? Are not really protected, even though we're the state for it. It's just really sad.
It's awful, and it's the children that are suffering, and they're the ones that are being trafficked, and they're the ones that are fighting, and nobody cares. Like, literally nobody cares. There's a case in South Carolina that I'm fighting, and the youth was sexually abused in a group home, and we cannot get anyone to arrest these people because they are part of the agency.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wish there was a better answer, but the true answer is we need proper training, proper education, proper, and guardian ad litems should not be attorneys. In the state of Connecticut, a guardian ad litem can be an attorney. 95% of our guardian ad litems are attorneys with absolutely no training or proper education in the mental health field. And it is a huge issue. Huge. Yep. They get it wrong.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think Clint and I had a conversation the other day. We were talking about the DSS caseworkers here. You don't you don't have to have a degree in sociology. You don't have to have any kind of child psychology.
Yep.
Oh.
It's basically, well, it's basically any business. I mean, any bachelor degree. It can be in business,
Right,
it can be
like
in
Bachelor of Arts
culinary,
or
it can
something
be,
like that, or right,
yeah.
right. That does nothing. I mean, because you don't know, like, I mean, you have to know the workings of the mental workings of a child, and like that's the problem we're having is one of our daughters were experiencing parental alienation. We were seeing her at visits every 2 weeks, and then one visit she didn't show up, and we were told she didn't want to see us, and that was over a year ago. We've seen her sporadically, but now she remembers things wrong. Like she broke her arm rollerblading when she was at her foster parents' house, and she remembers it is that she broke her arm at our house, and we refused to take her to the hospital. That never happened. That never happened. My twins they both had to wear glasses. Their glasses disappeared, and we were told that they didn't need glasses. And we were making the one twin wear the glasses to look like the other twin. And I'll be daggone if a friend of mine didn't send me a school picture from 2 days ago where that twin that didn't need glasses is wearing glasses. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, they're getting it from all sides. I mean, the foster mom have this in the DSS CAPS report. The foster mom, my daughter, that she was being disruptive, they gave a 10-day notice. They wanted to be done with her. DSS took her back. She went to another placement for a week just around Thanksgiving. And then the foster mom wanted her back. And they asked my daughter, if she wanted to go back. And my daughter said, well, my foster mom told me if I didn't go back, nobody would ever adopt me, ever.
Awful.
And it's recorded. I mean, the guardian ad litem was in that meeting, the caseworker, the case manager. I mean, the placement coordinator, there was like 5 people in that meeting with my child.
Text message from Chris Chappell.
They've done nothing. They offered them family counseling, which we've been asking for 2 years and we couldn't get, but they offered that to them on the spot after that incident. So yeah, I mean, it's a collaborative effort. I feel like, I mean,
yeah, for sure.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
Sorry. I'm
we
sorry.
see a lot of
Yeah,
this
so
here
tough.
too. We see a lot of this here too. One of the things we also see is where a parent offers, is not allowed to present evidence. We see issues where parents are being told, oh, your kid doesn't need this, and then of course, like you said, all of a sudden they're getting that help from somewhere.
Yep.
It's deplorable.
Yeah.
It really is. And the problem is that this no longer is about about the kids, which is what it really needed to be focused on.
Right.
It has become about, the money.
Yeah.
The
The
money.
connection.
Absolutely.
No,
Absolutely.
how does that transpose to that even? I'm going to mute myself again, folks, so you can't hear my cart going.
All right, Jenny. But yeah, go ahead, Clinton.
So one of the things that, because I've spoken to Tim and David all this time and because I've dealt with so many private cases, when we talk about emotional toll that these courts are putting on these parents, it's nearly unbearable for the parents. But none of us can really imagine what these children are going through.
Right.
Yeah.
So what can be done to prevent these children from these court systems from continuing this? I mean, like in Kim and David's case, David's attorney actually told him to appeal their case. He has a good case.
You're cutting out really big.
Yeah, I know. I see that.
What about the rest of these parents out there that these courts are being? I mean, Kim, let's start with you. What do you think needs to change in these court systems pertaining to these sort of actions?
Well, there's in the court system or like the DSS system, or both. I mean,
they're part of the court system.
Yeah. Well, DSS needs a complete overhaul. ground floor all the way up to wherever. I mean, they need better. They need people with actual degrees. They need people with training. The court systems, they need to stop. I understand the purpose of a guardian ad litem. I was a child of divorce. I had a guardian ad litem. And I just I don't know my guardian ad litem was an old, sweet little old lady, and it didn't go this way. The guardian ad litem, they don't need to, the court system, when a guardian submits that report or she gets up on the stand, there's a lot of hearsay, and it's allowed because it's called like truth for the fact of the matter. It's because she does go around and interview people. You know, she can take what they say and put it in her report, and it's taken as truth, and that needs to change. Like the expert witnesses, the LPCs, the therapists. My daughter's therapist.
So what you're saying is they need to be held accountable. The accountability aspect of these courts need to be upgraded to
exactly.
severe levels.
There needs to be a little bit more. There needs to be a little bit more like cross-examining. There needs to be a little bit more, less preponderance and more clear and convincing.
Okay, Sylvia, what about you? What do you think?
Well, definitely needs to be accountability, but they need to open the courts. And I wonder, even, do you know if the courts are legally closed in South Carolina? Because in Georgia, we thought the courts were closed until I met Heather, and Heather taught me the law that no, they're not actually closed. They're open, but the judges close them. So are they?
In South Carolina, it's the judge's discretion.
It's the judge's discretion. Wow. So they are closing them because they don't want people to see what's going on. Right. So that needs to be open. That needs to be changed. There needs to be a jury. There needs to be of the family's peers, not of the system. There needs to be the Constitution needs to be put back in. These are kangaroo courts.
Ex parte needs to be taken out. Ex parte, totally. That's a violation of due process. I don't understand how in the world it's frowned upon. And it tells you it's frowned upon. Yeah, it's frowned upon. Ex parte is frowned upon, but they do it pretty much every case. I mean, how do you have a hearing when one side's not even there to be in the hearing?
And that's another thing they do. They have hearings without both parties. And that's actually void. That's something else I learned from Heather. That's actually, if you have a closed hearing and you're not a part of it, that's actually a void. They're operating on a void motion. So that needs to change. Okay, where are we at?
I know the time frame, like the amount. I know that they have. I know there's an extensive amount of cases for family court, but these hearings. I mean, we were continued 5 times, and I don't know. It took us like 6 months to finally get to our merits hearing because they kept continuing it. And the time frames need to be shrunk down. It's like, I've read something about they want to implement. It was a 30-day, 60-day hearing time frame, because if not, then you end up like us. And my kids have been in the system for 2 years, and they're blaming me. And it's not me. It's all continuing from DSS. So,
Yep. You back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay. Look, there's your answer. I mean, I think Sylvia did a great job.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we have so much to do.
The internet around this area is like nothing I've ever seen.
Is it raining there? It's raining here, so I don't know.
It's pretty nice weather here for once. It's been raining all this week. Heavy downpours, and I think what it is some of the towers have gone out over the areas. So, but I mean, let's get down to the bare grass thing. From what I've seen over the years, from what Kim and David have told me, from what me and Sylvia have talked about, these courts operate on a financial basis only.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So you have a judge who works for the state, county, state, whatever. You have a social service agency that works for the county, state government. You have lawyers who work for the county, state government.
Yeah.
And then you have parents on the other side and children caught in the middle.
Yep.
Absolutely.
How do we, if it's happening to Kim and David, you are pretty much assured that it's happening to other parents in other places.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And Sylvia can attest to that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So how do we change this? I mean, how
Stop
do
the
we
incentive.
go talk to legislators?
Yes.
Yes, stop the
Yes.
incentive. Stop the incentive to because they only receive the funding if they adopt the children out or if the children are in foster care.
Right. Yeah.
They don't receive
Yeah.
they don't receive funding if the child is returned home. So if you stop the funding, or maybe you reverse that funding and make it to where if they're reunited with the family. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know.
Paid for services and got nothing, and like there was something here called flex funds, and it was supposed to be for if you needed if families needed emergency housing, and you go to DSS and mention the flex funds, and guess what? The flex funds is out of money. So yeah, send it for more reunification slotted
yeah.
things. Yeah. Then
because we're talking funding, I mean, a lot of people don't realize these foster parents are getting paid for their services.
Yes.
And in South Carolina, I don't, and Sylvia, let me know if this is about what it is in Georgia. In South Carolina, if a child is between the age of 0 to 5, a foster parent earns about $700 a month. From 6 to 12 years old, they earn $818 a month. And then 13, and here's a funny number because it says 13 to age 20, they earn $863.
Yeah, they can stay in South Carolina. They can choose to stay in the foster who would choose, but stay in the foster system until they're 20, and they're supposed to help them with like, what is it, APLA, another planned placement.
Independent living.
Yeah, independent living. Yeah, where it teaches them finances and job skills and.
But then you also have a lot of these parents are ordered to pay child support, which also gets added into this.
Yeah.
So
I mean, this is some major money being tossed around in these courts.
It's a lot of money. And in Georgia, ours is there's two types of ways they pay. So like you have contractors, which are placement agencies, and then you have through defects. Through the placement agencies, there's what's called waivers, and these waivers go by the behaviors of the child. So if you have a child that's defiant, they call these MWO, and it's maximum watchful oversight. You receive more funding if the child is considered defiant, on psychotropic medications, if they're a runner, any type of behavior, you receive more funding. Disabled children, you receive more funding. Sex trafficked children, you receive more funding. So you can literally create the wording. You literally put the wording to the amount of money that you need or that you want. And so these foster parents negotiate when they literally, and this was me as a caseworker, I would be negotiating with these foster parents because they would be like, oh no, I'm not dealing with that behavior. I need $75 a day. I need $100 a day. And you would literally be negotiating with them to take this child because you had no place to put this child. That's what it's like.
I wanted to speak up and say, look, I think while I like the idea of the incentive being if they place them with a family member, okay, I think would be awesome. The problem comes in if there is a true case of abuse,
right,
and they're still working on it. That's where the problem comes in. So the real key here is proper training, proper education. It cannot take a year to do this investigation. They get only so many days or weeks to do it in, because otherwise, the longer it gets dragged out, the worse it is for the children.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
And maybe the incentive goes both ways, that they get, if they get money, if they get the child placed with the family and they get money, but the money they also get money if they can get the child placed in foster or adopted, where there is proven abuse that they cannot put the child with
Back
a
in the home,
family
yeah.
member.
But why don't they look at giving the family a quarter of that money that they give to the foster families and helping them with whatever the issue actually was?
Right.
Like in our case,
Housing,
our main thing was housing.
Yeah.
And because I went from making almost $100,000 a year to maybe
from Joe
being
PST.
to being homeless.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, even my kids had gotten accustomed to
Text message
lifestyle.
from
a
Joe
certain
PST.
lifestyle that I was able to provide for them. And it literally went from I was buying us a house in Greenville, South Carolina. Well, actually, it was Boiling Springs, South Carolina, where I was buying the house, to literally living in our car.
120-293.
And I mean, and like that, they came in and say the housing, like this last time they said the carpets were dirty. The carpets are old and stained. We've steam cleaned them. My attorney said, did you offer them house cleaning services? Well, I don't think we do that. Well, my attorney worked the case where they offered house cleaning services to get the house in order for the kids to come home. I mean, nothing was ever, nothing of that sort was ever offered to us.
As far as any type of service to go geared towards unification,
none.
We saw nothing.
No counseling, no family counseling, no. I mean, no, no family counseling, no individual, no correlating individual counseling for us. Nothing to that matter. Not like sibling counseling, like kid, sibling counseling. Because I mean, our daughters, there weren't issues before. Now there are issues that they juxtapose them against each other as well. So I mean, there's nothing.
It's funny. It's funny that we're talking these numbers. Now, I'm a number cruncher and I love numbers. And as a journalist, I always do the state budget for South Carolina every time it comes out. And there is an agency in South Carolina that is designed to help families in need, keep them together and all this stuff. But its funding is only about $145,000 a year. While DSS, all the parts of the social services that is designed to separate and take children, gets funding into the millions.
Yep.
When our homeless status.
So, the old adage is follow the money.
Yeah. No. That's what it is.
There is actually a famous case here in Connecticut. All right. There's actually a famous case here in Connecticut with a woman who had a brain injury and was getting all the necessary resources and support she needed. Her husband was helping her as well. DSS decided they were going to remove the kids from her care and her husband's care, despite the fact under the ADA she was covered. And they fought through to the appellate court here in Connecticut and was still denied. And the father was never deemed as an unfit parent. This is a key piece for people who are in the system. There must be an evidentiary hearing wherein your rights to be a parent are adjudicated. You have to be adjudicated as an unfit parent. Otherwise, they cannot take your rights.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah, it's backwards here. It's I mean, you're guilty before before they even and they blanket the terms are so broad, abuse and neglect, but they never specify. I mean, abuse in South Carolina, neglect can be their clothing is not new or like they don't take they don't take them to the doctor. I mean, now there are religious people that don't believe in immunizations.
They don't have a clear definition of abuse.
Right.
And
exactly.
anyone can use it the way that they need to use it.
Exactly. In my husband's case with his two children, the kids' teeth were rotting out of their mouth and the mother wouldn't take them to the dentist. We even picked up additional dental insurance for her, for the kids. And when we were in court, our attorney questioned her, so did you get this? Do you Do you recognize this medical insurance card for additional dental assistance? No, no. Oh, yeah, that junk insurance, I wouldn't use it. Judge turned around and ultimately ordered her to pay for all the dental because of it. But there
Daggone
were
right.
other issues going on where my husband went to go drop the kids off, and he's standing at the door with his ex-wife, and the dog takes a poop right on her foot, and she kicks it into the apartment. The apartment had so much pee and poop and smell. There were just various things like this, and DCF just completely ignored it. Now, I'm not saying that maybe they should have been taken, but what we're saying is there should have been some monitoring.
Right. Well, they
Their
did
answer
it like,
to us about the
Yeah.
teeth, well, children's teeth rot out of their mouth. I swear to God. And then their
Wow.
other one was everybody's idea of cleanliness is different.
right,
Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that was one of our arguments here. Our caseworker said, like there weren't substantial improvements made to a house. $20,000 roof was put on this house, and that's not substantial. And they don't go by the South Carolina housing code book. They don't go by any kind of
Yeah,
like housing
there's no
codes at all.
guideline.
Yeah, so like it's up to their discretion. Well, my caseworker, I guarantee you, she's ghetto, but she bougie. So like I'm sure that my house is horrible to her. But you know what? You can't base it off. You can't base my
Here's-
kids' lives on the fact that you don't like the way my house looks. I mean, it's safe.
Right.
It's safe. So
But here, and that brings us into the point that, if we took kids from every single family that was in a ghetto, there would be hundreds of thousands of kids in in foster care, unable to even get somebody to adopt them because there would be so many.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yep.
the claim that's because somebody's got PTSD or stress and anxiety, oh, they're not fit to be a parent. Well, then you're saying that every single military person who's come back
right.
is no longer fit. No kid would have a parent in this country or around the world because most parents have some level of PTSD, stress, and anxiety,
Yeah, that's anybody. That's any. Yeah, yeah.
especially
Well,
after COVID.
Right. Well, what gets me is like that, they complained about our house, but they had kids sleeping in our local DSS office when we go to our
Yep.
visit.
That's what they've done. They actually
Yeah.
have overhauled the foster system. When you say that there are hundreds of thousands of
Our
kids in
local-
foster care.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
that
had to
are
have our visit.
They don't belong there. They
Right.
We would have
And
our
the
visit
way
there, and
the
they'd have an
law-
air mattress. Yeah, they'd have air mattresses in there. There was a video that was sent to the news of a group of them. The fire marshal had to come and shut them down because that building is not zoned for overnight stays. But that's okay. But my house is not.
Yeah.
What?
Well, that's where
Yeah.
you bring in a home inspector who inspects the home. It costs you a couple of $100 and verifies that the house is a safe environment.
Yeah.
Is that
Well, what
fair?
she's saying is
No.
that there's no guidelines, so they
Yeah,
literally
there's no-
just do what they
yeah.
want. Like there's
Yes,
no
agreed.
guidelines.
But they'd have to go up against a licensed certified professional who does home inspections for real estate. So that in
Yeah.
other words, when you go to sell your home or you go to buy a home, in order
Right.
to sell it, a home inspector must come in and note any issues within the house that might be a safety or otherwise need to be fixed before the house can be
Right.
can be sold. So for example, having dirty rugs isn't part of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that is a good idea. I do like that idea.
When I tell people to think outside the box,
Yeah,
I
that's
really mean think outside the box. Your box needs to be upside down, inside out, and not shaped like a box.
I was gonna say not
Right.
a box.
My
Not a
house-
box.
Right. My house is actually a triangle. It's an A-frame.
Oh, yep. You're up north, so yep. I love A-frames.
Well, my house is not a typical house for Connecticut.
Yeah.
It was named Snowshed because the previous owner loved Snowshed, Vermont. And because it's an A-frame,
Uh-huh.
that's what he named it.
I mean, look, Vermont's pretty too. But yeah, like we just like I said, we just there's so many things that we have come across that just doesn't make sense. The housing. One of the things they argued this time is they don't think that it's not safe for the kids to come home because we don't have transportation. How many people in this country, in this world, have kids that don't have transportation? And then they, I mean,
Look at New York City. Look at
Yeah,
New York
right.
City. Most New Yorkers do not have a car. One, because it's too expensive to keep it there. Two, it's a pain in the butt to park it.
You can't drive anywhere. They don't know who
Three, you
drives.
can't drive anywhere.
Right, right.
So
Right.
that is, so really, I think what may be a good idea to do here is we start using, and I know people don't always like to use AI, but there's a way to use AI to help you build all of this up into a really good maybe article or piece or use for court to show that these things are not against the Constitution, do not quantify adjudicating a parent or a home to be unfit.
Right.
Start putting this together and showing that there is a pattern of behavior and actions that do not match your constitutional and state laws.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's exactly. I
Did we
agree.
lose Glenn again?
No, I think he's on here.
Okay. Yeah, I was on mute. I switched over to my cell phone. So let's go ahead and start wrapping this up because I know Sylvia's got other things to do. I got to take care of some stuff. Joni's probably still got to clean up.
I got laundry to do.
Yeah, well, that's what I have to do when my glampers are done. I got to
Yeah.
collect all that laundry.
Oh,
So wrap it up, Clint.
Let's kind of close this out with a question. And this is across the board. We basically kind of established that social service cases and private cases really aren't that much different.
Yeah.
Correct.
So
right.
is parental alienation real in social service cases compared to private cases?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And this is what I call domestic violence by proxy.
Yes.
Somebody uses an agency or the kids, or the agency does it, and it's a form of abuse to do this to somebody. Domestic violence by proxy.
Got a video of it.
Yep.
So,
yeah, it is. I mean, they
okay, so we all agree there's no difference in this aspect. The other thing is what's hold on.
Oh, I love your dog.
Hey, Saber.
I used to take my dog with me too.
He takes that dog everywhere. He's a good boy until he sees another dog or something, and then he.
Yeah, that's my dog.
Bark. Yeah, he's a loud bark, loud.
Yeah.
But he's a sweet boy, though. He really is.
Yeah.
All right, Clint. Let's off with 1, 2, 3, go.
Okay, so is parental alienation criminal?
Yes, actually, there was a
it's
case that
abuse.
someone was just tried about on it.
Oh, you
The
mean
problem is
John
that
Mast
there's
case?
been no accountability.
You mean the John Mast case where John was just where John was murdered 2-3 years ago, and his ex-wife and her father were now convicted?
I don't know if that's the same case or not.
Out of Idaho?
I think so.
Okay.
But I'm
Yeah,
not
John
positive.
Mast was murdered by his father-in-law after he
Yes.
lost joint custody of his children based after being falsely accused of abuse by his ex-wife.
Wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say yeah. It's like, I mean, because parental alien. It is a form of abuse. I mean, with to the children, to the other parents, or to parents like us.
So then why are these judges continuing to do the same thing over and over?
Because there's no accountability.
No accountability, and if the families are separated, then I mean there's in the foster care cases that money, like Sylvia said, the money, the incentive.
2, 3, there is usually a conflict of interest and bias where the prosecution and the judge have some kind of a relationship, or if it's a personal case, private case, it's because the other side's attorney has some kind of connection with that judge. And this is why we really, in my opinion, and I'm hearing this from a lot of others, when you have allegations of abuse, they do not belong in family court. Family court cannot adjudicate on criminal matters.
Yes.
Because in family court, they only do by the preponderance of evidence, versus criminal court, it is done by clear and convincing. And that is where these cases need to be.
Yep. And preponderance, 51% for preponderance. Trust me, we've learned all. And then but it changes when you go to TPR. That's the only. I mean, the TPR sucks, but it does go to clear and convincing at TPR, and so they had nothing on us
Okay,
last time. Yeah.
so this brings me to this question is, are social services tapping judges on the shoulder, telling them what to do?
Yes, actually, here in Georgia, the SAGs write their reports and the judge just signs off. The judges don't even write it.
In fact, I had a case against Department of Children's and Family Services here in Connecticut that I filed federally for falsely putting my husband and I on the abuse and neglect registry and never notifying us, despite the fact they were ordered to in 2008, and we didn't find out for 15 years that we were on that list.
Wow.
Somebody went behind the scenes. The judge was getting ready to retire, and the judge dismissed my case despite solid, verifiable evidence that was even in the DCF reports.
Wow.
Yeah.
We have some Connecticut, like I said, Corrupticate. We have a very dirty cult, if you will, attorneys and their cohorts. And they are heavily connected, and it doesn't matter what the Constitution says. It doesn't matter what the law is. They will go behind the scenes to influence cases.
Yeah. In our state, South Carolina, we don't elect the judges, the lawyers, the bar. So we don't get a choice. Yeah. So I mean, and they all play golf together.
And not only that, it's very hard to get an appointed judge removed. We in Connecticut got rid of 2 judges only because the clear and convincing evidence was so strong against them that the Bar Association and the judiciary said to them, either face the music or retire, and we recommend you better just retire early because you're going to go to jail if you.
Right.
So, final question of the show is, what can parents like David and Kim who have no money do to protect their children?
There are several things that one, and the most important thing is you need to become an attorney. You literally need to learn the law. I have a client who passed away, and she and I used to joke that we have had to learn so much about the law from our own cases and from helping others that we want to sit for the bar and take the bar. Okay.
Yeah, I've actually learned. I did 90% of the research for my case. My attorney, I wouldn't hear from him until they report.
Okay.
I went through. I got the dictation notes, read through them, and started looking up statutes. Was email my attorney the statutes, and I'll be daggone in court the next day. I turn around and he's using my statutes, and I'm like, well, dang, and. I apparently I find out I have a knack for
Another option is Larry DeMarco from the Law Center has a program that helps to teach parents how to pro se their case. Take his course. It's worth it because he is going to teach you how to collect evidence, how to get your data together, how to research laws. And don't be afraid to use AI to help you put things together and then go back through it with a fine-tooth comb and make sure the laws that are cited are correct, that it's what you've got there is correct.
Yeah.
And the other part is learning, listening to others who have won their cases, whether it be an attorney or a pro se, because there are going to be bits and pieces, especially in your own state, where you can then cite that precedence.
Yep, I definitely agree with everything that you're saying. And then also do what you're doing, whereas using the media and advocates to speak for you. What we're finding here in Georgia is that when you have an advocate speaking for you, it takes away from the retaliation because they do retaliate, but they don't retaliate against the advocate. So if you have an advocate speaking for you, a lot of the cases are better.
Here in Connecticut, I've been attacked and falsely accused of criminal charges for something that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Well, Sylvia,
fighting it 5 years later.
You just mentioned media, and earlier on we were saying media won't touch these sort of things.
Well, I'm talking about independent media. Like I have a podcast. I have like, and it's independent journal. It's independent journalists that are getting out. It's not, and people aren't even watching the mainstream media. If you look now, they're really not watching it. They're watching your local podcaster or you know what I mean?
They don't trust the main media anymore because there's too much control of what they're allowed to say and not say. say they were afraid of losing their ability to have a business because they get threatened. I get
Yeah.
that. Whereas a private journalist is not so worried. They're going to go, excuse me, this is my First Amendment right. Go away.
Right.
Exactly. Yep. You have to have fighters in the fight with you.
Yeah, it definitely, that definitely helps, because I mean, like that, Clinton has been instrumental in you know, in supporting us, and especially my husband.
And they don't like being called out. I would tell y'all, I just
No.
called out a guardian ad litem on something, and because I named her, another case, a person in another case was Googling her name and found my post, and then we have been helping her, and so it's actually, when you name them, you're making people being able to search them and find
Right, and
information
find
on them.
Yep.
And what's also funny is that this guardian ad litem so arrogantly responded and provided a lot of information, and then deleted the comments, but we got the screenshots before she deleted them. So they get arrogant, they get confident, and then they start giving you information, and all of a sudden they're like freaking out, like, oops, take that down, and you already got the information.
The DSS attorney that tried this last
you're basically saying shine a big spotlight on them individually.
Yes, individually, because when you do it all as a whole, it's harder.
For me, Sylvia's taking a note from me. If you're not pissing them off, you're not doing it right.
Yes. Yes, and I got them going, I tell you.
I tell you what, here in Connecticut, we have 2 guardian ad litems that both were told by the bar, either face the music or retire early. And we're telling you, you face the music, you're going to jail. One was forced retirement because of what's called price fixing. That's where all the experts get together and decide how much money they want to make on the case before they let the couple or the parents settle. Because it's a very affluent state. So they get away with this. The other one was a woman who for 35 years has been harming families, and one of her last it's not her last case, but one of the last final reportings of her was from a father who had a case, this file like this thick, where she and the mother falsely accused him of sexually abusing the daughter. He was found not guilty. The guardian ad litem in that case then got the family court guardian ad litem to drop herself off so she could put herself on conflict of interest, but he won sole custody in family court because of the alienation tactics. Before he could get his kid, the guardian ad litem assisted that mother in kidnapping the kid to another country, and he still hasn't gotten his kid back.
Oh my Lord!
Because that country doesn't want to honor, even though it's a U.S. country, Costa Rica does not want to, or if not U.S. country, it's a Hague country, does not want to accept the ruling in the United States.
There's no Hague Convention in that one. That's no. I mean,
Hague means, unfortunately, the Hague seems to mean nothing.
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of parents don't get into the Hague aspect, but it's an agreement signed by all these union countries that, hey, we will respect your decisions in these family courts. But all they do is they guarantee the return of the children, not the perpetrator.
Yeah.
And I think that is a great topic for another time. I.e. the Hague, and maybe that's a great place for us to close.
Yeah.
That we're gonna, one of our talks coming up may very well be on the Hague.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a topic worth talking. I mean, there are hundreds of parents that have absconded with children to avoid a custody order.
Yep. Parental kidnapping, it's called.
Yeah.
Custodial interference is a felony in every single state in this country and federally.
Yeah.
And it's not just private, it's social services, you know?
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and end there. Sylvia, I know you got to go. So it's great having you on the show.
Yes, it
Thank
was.
you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. Thank you for being here, Sylvia. It was nice chatting with you.
Yeah. We will keep the fight.
Yep.
And,
have a wonderful Sunday, everyone.
All right. You too. I'll talk to y'all later.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.